Good morning, and enjoying my cup of coffee, which is hot Americano. It's nice to kick the day off with that, and leads me to think what is actually going on with AI and education. Because the more I think about it, the more it becomes something extraordinary. And it's challenging sometimes to talk about the extraordinary in this age because everything is always so hyperbolic. Everything is awesome. Everything is amazing. Everything is wow. Everything is always like, oh, wow, can't believe this. So, in that sort of noise generation, it's sometimes challenging to see clearly through that to where massive impact is happening. And the way I kind of arrived at this insight that something indeed very remarkable and earth-shaking is happening in the world of education is the realization that, quite frankly, an AI today can do an MBA better than I could. Right? It could do the MBA faster, it could write it better, and if it didn't, it would then be able to learn faster and better than I could, so then it would be able to do it. So let's just pause and think about that, right? It's able to complete the exams that we use to accredit capability, right? And so what you have suddenly done at a stroke is you've essentially rendered the traditional education system model irrelevant, because the traditional education model is to take the standard knowledge, that what's in the textbook, and teach it to the most amount of people for the least amount of money, as efficiently as possible. And this is now no longer useful because you have a super intelligence available to you that already knows the MBA and already knows everything about it. So what's the point of doing an MBA in the age of AI? What's the point of doing a degree in the age of AI? Well, indeed, what's the point of studying formal education? It kind of reminds me of when I was growing up and we had physical calculators and there were no smartphones. This was sort of the late 80s and 90s. And we were always told, you won't always have a calculator with you, so you have to learn how to do multiplication. And that was a good point. It is useful to be able to do multiplication in your head. But turns out we don't just have a calculator in our pocket. We have a supercomputer with a super intelligence in our pocket available at all times for free, essentially, right? So what is the role of the human in all of this? And what even is the point of education? Like, you need to really think this through. Like, how are you going to secure your career in the age of AI? Will doing an MBA do that? I think the answer is no. Will doing a degree secure your future in the age of AI? No, because the AI can already do that. What value is it to learn knowledge that is already probably out of date or has questionable relevance at the rate at which Industry 4.0 moves? What's the point of it all? You do have to build a basic competency, a basic capability, a basic knowledge. But one of the fundamental flaws of the education system today is that it is entirely knowledge orientated. You're just learning about things. You're gaining knowledge. You're not gaining experience. You're not gaining practical application. You're not practicing praxis, as we say in German, theory-informed action. You're not applying the knowledge. So if you're doing a marketing degree, you're not really running. Just because you have a marketing degree doesn't mean I'm going to believe that you can run a marketing campaign for my company and it will be successful in terms of gaining customers and driving growth. Right? They're two very different things. They're very far apart from each other, right? And I think part of what's happened is this sort of illusion that certification demonstrates something, right? It's like do a one-day course and become AI ready. Sure, but Intel just laid off 28,000 very talented engineers, and I'm sure plenty of them were AI ready, right? Just because you're certified in some way doesn't mean you're not going to lose your job. No one's going to be like, oh, you know what? She has an MBA. We should probably keep her. No one's thinking that, right? That's not going to happen. And I think the great danger is to sort of we risk deluding ourselves into thinking that by gaining these professional certifications that we are increasing our value. And to be clear, you are. I'm not saying it's not zero. I'm just asking, is it enough? Right? Let's say you're going to do an MBA right now. Let's say it's going to cost you. Let's say you do a virtual MBA and it costs you $20,000 to $50,000. Let's say $20,000, right? And it's going to take you 2 years. That's useful. But how much are you going to climb the curve? Is that going to make sure you keep your job? Right? You're going to put all that time and effort in it. What's the ROI for you of investing all that time, money, and effort into that? And I think what's happening very, very, very quickly is a bigger and bigger question mark is arriving around it. And that's, I think, what it is. I'm not saying that these formal education mechanisms are not useful. They are. I have a master's. I found it extremely useful. I think, in the right way, it's extremely powerful. But it's not something that's going to assure you of your career, and indeed, even more profound things, because guess what? There is more to life than work. It's about knowing yourself, understanding who you are, finding your own peace and happiness, which sounds trivial, but when you get to older, I'm 40 now, those things become extremely important. They become much more important if you've been able to achieve a certain level of success and wealth. Earning more money becomes rapidly less interesting than being happy, being healthy, and being well in your life, and pursuing your purpose and being aligned with your soul and spirit towards where you wish to go. How can you pursue that? Because the purpose of education isn't simply to transmit knowledge into the dull brain. It is to awaken the soul and spirit. It's really to elevate us towards greatness. The purpose of education is to empower us to rise and to transform and to be like the butterfly, which has to metamorphose itself from the caterpillar. That's really, I think, where education has the greatest power. Education is about transformation. It's about enabling people to grow and become much more. It's not just simply giving you some knowledge. And I think that we've also, to my despair, trivialized education. It's this sort of idea that you can become a master of something because you watched some videos online and did a case study. I mean, it's just ludicrous, right? Just because you've done a case study on how Uber expanded across the world at some point doesn't mean anything about that, what that you can do. We've just kind of lost our sanity in terms of our critical thinking around the power of this education. And we've also lost our critical thinking in terms of rationally telling ourselves what is actually the purpose of this education and how does it serve us. It's become this sort of ego fest of how we can go to the most prestigious institution to be able to show off on LinkedIn that we are proud and honored to be certified at XX or having done Y thing. Like, really? What is that all about? What's the meaning of it? Does it mean you actually know anything or you can achieve anything? Something, maybe, right? But when I looked at the GMAT exams, I mean, it's controversial, but it's just so silly. It's just so silly to think that doing a GMAT is any kind of sensible test of an intelligence of a human being in the full soul of their, full capacity of them as a human, qua human. It's not. It's very difficult questions that require a very specific kind of rational and logical thinking. And if you want to be an administrator, which is what an MBA is, to be a Master of Business Administration, not an innovator, an administrator, then yes, it has a purpose to it. So it plays a role for sure. But we've gotten to the silly notion that somehow if you pass this one kind of very, it's that famous cartoon where there's a fish and there's a monkey and then there's a lion and they're all being challenged to climb a tree. Right? Well, of course the fish is going to do very well, but that doesn't mean it's not a good fish. And what we've done is in education, we kind of created this consensus that a very specific kind of testing is what reveals intelligence and success overall. And I think that's really where the tragedy of education lies today, but also the great opportunity, because at the same time, you have a superintelligence in your pocket. You can use it to educate yourself, and not only that, but you can build a brainstorming buddy, a partnership with these intelligences that will guide you and help you grow in a way that was previously impossible. You can develop your own individual learning tutor who can help you expand and unlock your capabilities across such a wide variety and do it almost instantly, right? And coach you and support you along the way. So I'm really excited for the age of AI because I think it's going to allow us to take the next great leap for education and to escape the stagnation that we find ourselves stuck in today, this sort of pursuit of certificates that have a questionable meaning and value, of a state of consciousness in which we consider ourselves educated because we've attended some prestigious institution. Because that means we also become blinded to the great talent that is out there. 99.9% of people never went to Harvard Business School or to Harvard or to an Ivy League or to an Oxbridge or to a top 100 or to a top 1,000 university. And they've done fabulously well and they're very talented and capable people. There's a certain snobbery that comes into it. It's like, oh, your university was number 100 on the ranking, well mine was 50, so then I'm better than you somehow. And I think there's sort of a perverse delight in the ego of enjoying that, which, fine, great. But does that mean you're going to do well in the age of AI? Right? I just don't think so. What's going to make you do really well in the age of AI is that you can demonstrate ROI. that you can demonstrate to your manager, that you can demonstrate to your seniors, that you can demonstrate to your peers, to your customers, that you are a high value creator. And that's what's going to make sure that they want to keep you in the organization, because they're going to say, we can't lose her. She's essential. She's so productive and she does so much for us. That other person, yeah, he has an MBA, but it's not really very useful, is he? Okay, so we don't need him anymore. That's how it's going to go. So I encourage you to focus on figuring out how you can empower yourself to learn and grow in a way that enables you to demonstrate significant ROI. And that's going to be particularly around your KPIs. That's what you need to supercharge. Some thoughts for you there. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.